right, welcome back to the Black and Gold Report. Again, we're joined by head wrestling coach O.T. Johnson. And Coach, welcome back. I wanted to single out a couple of players, if I will, a couple of wrestlers who won their respective tournaments. At the Pembroke Classic, we mentioned Brendan Parker-Risk. He's 157, and he won his meet by pinning a wrestler from North Carolina State, a Division I opponent. And then, of course, at the Davidson Classic, you had Mike Williams, who came and pinned a number of people on his way to winning the first place there. Talk a little bit about Brendan and Mike as they anchor your team, and hopefully they will return to the national championship like they did last year.
Absolutely. Brendan, a guy that, I think he's starting to buy in a little bit, a week at a time. He went out there to class a couple weekends ago. Had a slow start to the tournament, but as the tournament went on, he got stronger and stronger. And what a lot of people don't know is in that finals match, there's a little history there with the guy that he wrestled that actually beat him at the state tournament his junior year. So it was kind of more of a avenge thing that he had to get over there, and he did it in a very, very big fashion by pinning Colton Palmer in the final. So that was a big deal for him, and he's a guy that continues to make some improvements for us as a returning national qualifier, and hopes that he can get back to the national tournament again and get on the podium. As far as the Davidson Open this past weekend, we had Mike Williams. Mike actually didn't have to go, but he said, "Coach, is it all right if I go to the tournament this weekend?" And went out there just to get some more mat time. And he did a great job with his weight control in here throughout the week, even though it was Thanksgiving. Came in. Worked really hard as far as just nutrition and doing what he needs to do outside the wrestling room, and went out there and really put a hammer down on a lot of opponents, pinning guys that usually this time of the year Mike is not in that kind of stride. So it brings me a lot of joy to see that the guy is ready to take that national championship, and he's doing everything he can to put himself in that position.
Yeah, Mike struggled a little bit with his weight at the beginning of the season, which leads me to my next question. As a wrestling coach, of course, you're constantly watching the players' weight. And how do the players put on weight and lose weight, a lot of weight really, in such short periods of time in order to be able to wrestle?
Well, I think when you talk about putting on weight and losing weight, it's more or less water that the guys are, taking on and off, especially the last, 2 to 3 pounds. Mostly is just water weight, and when you see the sucked-in face, that's basically what that comes from. They're just kind of pulling their water out of their bodies. But for some guys, it is a science to it. As far as what they're putting in their bodies, especially if you train all week, you don't wrestle on Saturday. You really have to be smart about what you're doing as far as small amounts of food, high amounts of water, because at the end of the day, that's what you're going to be using to train. Just making smart nutritional decisions when you go to the cafeteria. And it's a buffet, or you're gonna, treat yourself like it's a buffet, or you're gonna be, patient and not go to that second and third plate. And it's just most of the time where we're not involved is when these guys have to be the most disciplined in their decision making.
Right. I wanted to focus on another wrestler you have real fast, Christoph Thomas. He's a freshman. He finished third at the Davidson Open. You had to be really happy with how he's done so far as a freshman. And tell me, how good can he get?
Christoph, I had an opportunity to work with him in high school. I was going to high school a couple of years back twice and doing a clinic for him. So I kind of knew a little bit about Christoph at that time, and him coming in as a young guy for us. He's wrestled 4 tournaments now, and he hasn't had the success that he thought he was going to have right off the bat, but he's done a great job week in and week out coming back in, making improvements, and that's the credit to the coaching staff. We give the guys a pretty hard schedule starting off, and so when they go along later on in the season, they kind of know that, hey, it's going to be tough, and now he's got to put up and get the job done. So Christoph has a very, very high ceiling. The guy that we're looking to possibly place and get to the national tournament for us this year. He's a kid that just wants to win. He has goals for himself, and he's doing everything to accomplish them this season.
Well, up next for you, happening today as this airs, you've got the Newberry duels, and you've got 4 matches in one day, starting very early in the morning, going to late in the evening. You start off with number 10 ranked Findlay, who you've wrestled before. You guys know them pretty well. Then you have Lake Erie, you have Georgia Southern, and you have Chadron State, all pretty quality wrestling programs. What are you hoping to see at the Newberry duels? And talk about these opponents if you know a little bit about them at this point.
Well, Findlay, last year we were able to pull one away from them very early in the season at the Newberry duel. So again, that's going to be another challenge for us as we go ahead and try to get get those first couple of wins out of the gate and try to beat them, because I think that can really propel us through the rest of the day with the rest of the duels that we're going to have. So we just got to go out there and take care of business, one person at a time.
Right. And Coach Gibbs, your predecessor, he would always tell me every time I interviewed him that all these things are good and fine and dandy, all these things you're doing up to this point, but all of it is really to prepare your wrestlers for the regional tournaments and for the national tournaments. Do you agree with his philosophy?
Absolutely. People don't remember what you do during the season unless you get on that podium for the most part or get to the national tournament. So, that's why it's so great to have guys making small improvements, weekly improvements. If you win a tournament, that's great, but if you improve on something that you didn't do at the well at the beginning of the year, that's also the best way to get to the national tournament and get on that podium.
All right, Coach. Well, good luck, and we hope that you perform well this coming week. When we come back, we're going to see a preview of Pardon Lunu, our All-American cross-country runner, prepared by Katie Andros. So stay tuned.